Hey everyone, this is Kevin Gilmore with the National Weather Service New Orleans Baton Rouge office located in Salado, Louisiana. We're going to do a quick heavy rain and flash flood briefing here 3 o'clock in the afternoon on a Tuesday, January 23rd, to talk about the latest because we have some very wet weather coming up and even the potential for some flash flooding. So let's go ahead and dive into it with the briefing that we produced this afternoon. Let's go ahead and show you the screen here that this is going to be the flash flood briefing. This is the situation overview. I know there's a lot of text here because there's a lot coming up. Mostly dry today, but we're going to be seeing some heavy rain and some thunderstorms increasing from the west. Later tonight to early on Wednesday, where there will be the concerns for widespread flash flooding across portions of mainly western and central areas, but that threat will be continuing towards the east during the day, tomorrow, and even going into Thursday and Friday with the potential for multiple rounds of thunderstorms across the area. A few storms may be locally strong to severe on Wednesday, and I should say also on Thursday with the potential for damaging winds and isolated tornadoes. And again, multiple rounds. It's going to be a very wet week coming up, so those who are going to be traveling need to really exercise caution and stay weather aware. And we'll see also some rises on area rivers and streams with smaller creeks and rivers. They will be reaching minor to moderate flood stages. Starting off with this evening, we always like to take things one step at a time. This is this evening to 6 a.m. Wednesday. We see that it's generally quiet, just a couple of showers out, maybe a rumble of thunder or two, but very much a dry evening and cool with temperatures in the 50s to 60s. We may have some dense fog concerns. We are issuing a dense fog advisory, a marine dense fog advisory for coastal locations due to marine dense fog that will be forming later. There's already been reports of marine dense fog all across portions around the Mississippi River up to Belle Chase, and that will be creeping up slowly north for the rest of the night. So for those with marine interest, use caution as we will have some foggy conditions, or anyone along the coast may have be encountering some of those foggy conditions. But otherwise speaking, it's going to be a very quiet night. It's going to be tomorrow is when we see that we are under a moderate risk. That's a level 3 out of 4 for excessive rainfall for the northwestern portions of our area, with a slight risk for the rest of the area, where we may be seeing some thunderstorms approaching from the west, slowing down and potentially stalling, which will show you a little bit more of that information coming up. And this is going to be a concern. When we see moderate risk outlooks like this, that is heightened risk. And that's where there's the potential for significant flooding across the area. Again, tomorrow, going even to tomorrow night and a Thursday. And it's going to depend on where that squall line, we're going to have a line come in from the west, where it sets up and where it potentially slows down. And this is the projected rainfall totals in that same time range, 6 a.m. Wednesday to 6 a.m. Thursday. See a large variation, but generally speaking, the greatest chance for heaviest precipitation and higher rainfall totals will be for the western parts of the area. More particularly, Baton Rouge up to Macomb is going to be the big concern, and for northwestern portions, that includes Wilkinson County, Mississippi, where we could be seeing on average 3 to 5 inches, possibly higher than that. We're talking about maybe 6 to 8 inches in some localized areas where flash flooding and significant flash flooding will be a concern. And because of that, a flash flood watch is in effect from 6 a.m. Wednesday to 6 a.m. Thursday. But just be aware that there will be likely expansions to this further to the south and east as we go with time. But for now, we wanted to highlight the areas of the greatest risk for flash flooding, closest with the most soonest time, which is going to be tonight going into Wednesday and even on Thursday. It's going to be generally from Baton Rouge up to Macomb to the northwest, where flash flooding will be very possible. Now, we've been showing this too. This is a radar simulation on the middle here, and then 2-day probability of greater than 2 inches of rainfall on the left. And we've been really honing in on that north central portions of our area. So I-10-12 north seems to be the biggest risk. And there's a lot of confidence differences with this event. And we're trying to say this is going to be a high impact, low confidence situation, because if you see with this radar loop, there's going to be multiple rounds, and where the first round sets up and stalls will depend on how the next round will evolve from there, and then the next round after that. So there's a lot of uncertainties as far as location goes. And I want to show you a little bit more specifics because we're getting a little bit better model guidance in the door. And we want to show you this too. Let me bring this right across. This is model guidance from one of the more reliable short-range models that can actually predict what the radar is going to look like in the future. It's actually very, very helpful to look at. Let's see if I can get a loop here going to show you what we're talking about from the recent radar reflectivity as we go through time. So every time I change here, we're changing time. We're at 7 o'clock and you see it's very quiet. A lot of heavy thunderstorms near Shreveport up to Alexandria. But as we get to around midnight, still pretty quiet, but if we continue on through 6 a.m., we see a lot of heavy thunderstorms from Lake Charles to Alexandria to Monroe, and these will be heading east through the early daybreak hours, possibly getting to the far western sections around 7 to 9 a.m., getting into Baton Rouge around 9 to 11 a.m., and then it may possibly stall. So now we're at noon and we have some heavy thunderstorms across the area. Then notice how, as I go with time, it slows down, and that's not good. We don't want that line to slow down. When it slows down, it's just going to pour rain and keep pouring and keep pouring. And there's so much atmospheric moisture out there. And with this type of very efficient rain rates, this could quickly lead to flash flood concerns. The question is going to be where this line stops and sets up. Sets up meaning stalls, and sets up and drops a lot of rainfall. That's going to be the main concern. This could be over Baton Rouge, could be a Slidell, New Orleans, or possibly as far as coastal Mississippi. Just know that the greatest confidence for now is going to be generally along I-55 west, but it could be as far as Slidell also. So this is why it's extremely important to stay updated with the latest forecast updates that we'll be passing along, because we're going to have to resolve this as time goes on. We're going to have to be fine-tuning our forecast. So quick changing forecast, low confidence, high impact. And if we go beyond 7 p.m. tomorrow, we go a little bit forward, we see we may get a little bit of a break, but then we got another disturbance coming, another wave setting up over Lake Charles. And this is towards the end of the model run. We see yet another line of strong thunderstorms getting into late Wednesday night to early Thursday morning. So that's what we mean by multiple waves of this activity is going to be rolling through here. And where it stalls or slows up will determine where some areas get the potential for significant flash flooding. So let me go back here too, and as a reminder, we don't want people to forget also, there is a risk for severe weather during the day Wednesday and even getting into Thursday for coastal areas, a level 1 out of 5 risk. This includes damaging wind gusts and even a few isolated tornadoes with these thunderstorms that'll be pushing into the area during the day tomorrow and tomorrow night. Excessive rainfall even continues all the way into Thursday and into Friday as this line continues, as the axis for heavier rainfall pushes a little bit more towards the east. And as you can see with these rainfall totals, this is just from 6 a.m. Thursday through the early part of the weekend, so 6 p.m. Saturday. We see that the axis for heaviest rainfall shifts a little bit more towards the east. So Houma to New Orleans, up to coastal Mississippi, you become a little bit more of a focus. However, flash flooding could be possible anywhere, especially areas that already saw heavy rainfall for days prior due to saturated soils. So we're talking about Baton Rouge of 1.5 inches to 2 inches of rainfall. That's already falling on saturated soils, so that could lead to additional flash flood concerns, but we'll be watching as it continues to progress east across the area late week into early parts of the upcoming weekend. And as we just mentioned, another risk of 1 out of 5 risk of severe weather, or mainly coastal areas, are on Thursday, which is something we're going to have to watch for a quick spin-up tornado or even some strong wind gusts. And this is the multi-day total rainfall forecast, everything from 6 p.m. today through 6 p.m. Saturday, showing you a generalized 4 to 6 inches across the area. But we don't want you to be hung up on that exact number, as there could be some locally higher amounts, a lot higher than what you're seeing on this map. Locally 6, 8, possibly higher than that inches of rainfall in some localized areas where that line could stall up. We just have to keep an eye on it and want everyone to stay updated in case warnings are required. There will be impacts to rivers as well. These are the expected forecasts for some of our site rivers across southeast Louisiana and southern Mississippi, forecasting the potential for action stage to even minor, to even the potential on the highest exceedance range of moderate flood stage. So those with who live across traditionally more flashy rivers and creeks that respond quicker to heavy rainfall and flooding, we likely may see some higher river levels. Pearl rivers, you may likely see some higher levels as well, but be aware that that takes a lot longer. As many people know who live along the Pearl River, it takes a lot longer to respond. It just depends on how much rain falls upstream across central Mississippi, and that comes down the Pearl River Basin, where we'll see higher levels over an extended period of time later on, possibly over the next 5 to 7 days and beyond that, where we could be seeing some elevated river levels. So be aware of that rivers could be elevated due to this excessive rainfall, but this could vary based out of what areas see more rainfall than others. Some areas could be getting closer to that moderate stage, while some may be towards action to minor stage. In summary of everything we talked about, I could pretty much generalize this entire thing by saying to you, it's just going to be very wet coming up here starting tomorrow through the rest of the week into the upcoming weekend. There will be multiple rounds of heavy rain and thunderstorms, some of which could be causing significant flash flooding and even some strong to severe thunderstorms. So very important for you to stay weather aware. If you're traveling, check back for the latest updates. Make sure you have a reliable way to receive warnings, especially flash flood warnings if they may need to be required. and we'll keep you posted on the rest with that. But again, this is going to be a quick evolving system. We may have to be providing more near-term updates to really resolve what we're seeing with some of what's basically going on right outside our door, where we may provide more updates, and again, update watches, possibly issue warnings, so make sure you have a reliable way to receive those should they become required. That concludes this video update early in the middle of this afternoon, and we hope you have a great rest of the evening. Take care.